Hello everyone. Just getting a few things ready still, so apologies for that. Hopefully you can let me know if everything sounds okay. If the music's too loud, I have perhaps turned it up a little bit louder than normal. Richard's here, first in the chat, well done. So you can maybe also see on screen that I'm using the actual chat overlay from YouTube rather than the one I was using before. Just to make it a bit easier to read. We'll see. And I know the microphone sometimes picks the music up, so yeah, just let me know if everything's okay in there and we can start going. Everything else is looking okay, so I think we should be good. Make sure I've got the right manual. Yep, should have. And I've had a little move around with the video on screen as well. Make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, just had a little move around really. So what we're going to do today is basically hopefully finish off the inverted electronics area so that we're ready to do that when we come to do it. Well, I've done a few things off camera, off stream, just to prep today. So I've done some heat inserts into fans and to other parts. Hello the W, nice to see you. So yeah, so I've just done a few things off camera. Obviously I was prepping the bed. I think I told you I was prepping the bed last stream. I'll just show you that quickly. And by prepping the bed, what I basically mean is sticking the magnet and the heater on, because obviously they need time to be I like to put mine under some weight for 24 hours for both the heater and the magnet, just to make sure they're well stuck. And then I've also obviously drilled through for the holes, etc. And we'll worry about what we're doing with the wires later, because I'm not really sure just yet. I'll just pick this up. So, if you can, I'm assuming the music level is okay because no one said anything. So, first thing we need to do is actually a little bit of unassembly so that we can do the bottom panel. So what I'm going to do is to get to that part of the manual, because so the first thing I want to do is the fan skirts. So let me just get to that. So what we'll do, we'll just tip this on its back. And then take a few things off. So get some hex keys. So the first thing we'll do is we'll take these off. I guess I've also got to decide which way the electronics are going to go and everything like that. So we'll get those off. And then what I'll also do is take the screen mount off, because we won't be needing that just yet. And I don't want to break it, basically. So we'll take that bit off as well. Just like that. Now, can I see where that screw went? Yes. So luckily I did actually hoover up in here today, so I can actually see the screen, see the floor. Right, so let's do the fans. So we're going to need a few parts, which I've brought in. So let's get the printed parts as well. So the printed parts basically consist of fan covers, see that? And then sort of these spacer thingies for the non-fan side. We've got them, and then the fans should be in here. Yeah, and they needed inserts in, so that's what I've done with those. So these are identical, so I can just put them in and then we can decide. Saw your V0 serial request, the colours look so good. Can't wait to see them on the Trident. Thank you. So the V0 is pink and Galaxy Black ASA. In fact, I can show you. Just move the camera around. So yeah, these are now both serialized and they yin and yang of each other, so the colors are swapped. Don't know if you can see that very well. There you go. So yeah, that's just what those two look like. Let's move the camera back. Getting some behind the scenes photos there. I don't think I actually focused this, so I better do that. There we go. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to when this is fully built and we can sort of see it in all its glory, basically. Okay, so I think these are basically identical, so it doesn't matter which one we use for which. So we'll just start putting them on, really. So we'll do the one without fans in first. So we want M38s, so let's get those out of the, get the thing open. And we should have plenty of those in here. We don't need the fans just yet. And then these are different. Each fan cover, or there's two different types, I should say. So let me see if I might have put them in pairs, I can't remember. A bit late now. Trying to work out. So basically we need them to go like that, I believe. No, not that one. I don't think that's the right one. I think that is correct. And then we have the other one. Oops, didn't realise you had started. You were so keen to be the first person to post and chat, you weren't actually watching. So those two should go like that. And then these things go behind, which you then screw into. So yeah, let's see how tricky this is. And these are just M38s going in here. So I messed up with, didn't get the logos to correct orientation. I'm going to assume that they're the correct orientation. So this will be the bottom. Is that how they go? Does that look right? so. I think as all of them work, it's just about the rotation bearing. Yeah. So there is, on the fan, there is one, yeah. The fan guards are a little bit different to depending on what side they go on, I think. I'm sure they'll be alright. If not, I'll have to change them later. So one question I was going to ask Richard is, which way round do you have your electronics? So my plan is to have, so I've basically just laid this down back with the front. So I'm going to go this way with my DIN rails, I think, and then I'm going to have the fans on this side blowing over this way. Oh, you put fans both sides. Yeah, I can see why you would want to do that. So it doesn't really matter to you which in that way, yes. Because I have seen people do it different ways. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it, but for my Trident I only have yeah, so if I was looking at this straight on, because this is basically just laid down, you have your fans on this side, which is where I was thinking I was going to put mine anyway, because I think that's where I've got them on the 2.4 as well. Just try and keep everything the same, I guess. Have I put that the wrong way around? Yes, I have. God damn it. It is a good job I hoovered the floor, because I can now actually see where things are. What else was I going to ask you, Richard? Probably something to do with can, because I haven't done that before, but I can't remember what I was going to ask. We won't be getting to can wiring today anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but I haven't decided if I'm going to. Well, see, that's the thing, you can print it whatever colour you want, so you can copy mine if you want. When you come over to the UK next, you can get some filament from PrintyPlease. I have forgotten to do the little the disclaimer at the start of the stream, so I'll just do it now. So Fysetc were kind enough to supply the kit for the build, and then you've got PrintyPlease, which is a vendor in the UK for Voron related things, and I think he's got some annex stuff as well. He now does some filament, some glittery ABS, so he was kind enough to supply a spool of, so this is Cheshire Purple, and I can't pronounce the grey, but it's a cat themed grey basically. So yeah, he was kind enough to, does that look right? Yeah, he was kind enough to supply that. And then lastly, BigTreeTech were kind enough to supply a TFT screen that we're going to be putting on to have clipper screen and everything. And the reason that I reached out to them is because The electronics that I'm going to use on this build are going to be BigTreeTech stuff, just because I had it. So yeah, so this one is now done. We can put this one back on, and then this is basically just a dummy side. And let me get that gap even, because otherwise it will annoy me. Right there. Yeah, so that's that side. So now we can do the fan side. So it's going to go that way round. So we want to try and work this out correctly. The fans are obviously going to blow inwards, and we probably want the fan cables out the bottom. So let's have a look. We go that way. Let's have a look at these. That should be that one there, I think. So this is the thing about filament, right? There's only so many companies that make filament, so obviously Richard at PrintyPlease doesn't claim to make the filament. It's not UK made or anything like that. So yeah, it does come from Far East, I believe. Yeah, from China and everything. So you don't want to cross thread this at all, so we'll just make sure we get this to go in nicely. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. Like I say, there's only so many places that will make filament in the world, so when you come across one manufacturer making it, or one person selling it, chances are, now do I want, is that going to interfere with that wire? Let's have a look at the instructions. So it tells me which way to put the fan ones. Doesn't really. I'm just wondering which way I do want these fan wires. So they're just going to get stuck under the frame. So what I might do is move them to the bottom. It actually is great filament, to be fair. It's weird because some filament you get just doesn't print as nice, and that's a weird thing to sort of say, but it's true. And then this, when I've printed with this, it's like just been so nice to print with, and goes down really well and just looks really nice. I've got to remember that I'm actually at the bottom, so I think that should be okay. Actually, we'll go that way. It should be there. And I think, I'm not entirely sure, but I think there should be some new colours in the next batch that PrintyPlease has, so that'll be interesting to see. I think a nice yellow sparkly would look quite nice. So once we've got these fans on, we can then actually put on the bottom panel. So I will have to go and get that out of the box, so I have forgotten to get that out. Richard, yep, Richard in the chat is using sparkly yellow in his 2.4 build. It does look really nice. Yeah, I think that one's on. So let's get the other one. We'll put that at the top as well. Just try and make sure I've got this the right way around. Which way do... Yeah, that is right. So we're going to basically put these fan wires at the top, and hopefully they'll be long enough. I started using Area 1 filament, very cheap and has plenty of material and colours available. Seemed decent quality for the price. Yeah, I've used some Area 1 filament as well. Don't think I've used any ABS or anything, just PLA. But yeah, it was alright. I have no idea if it's still active or not, but I've got an affiliate link for them in my description, I think. Got an Area 1 ABS black roll and ordered white ASA 1.2, yeah. ASA is a little bit easier to print actually in some cases, so make sure these fans still spin. Yep. So this can now go on, and I assume I've got the logos the right way around. We can put this in. Going to tuck those fan wires in there a second for when I try and put this bottom panel on. There we go. Right, so I've got those on. So I think I should theoretically be able to put the... Is there anything else I need to do, Richard, before I put the bottom panel on? I should still have access to this once the bottom panel is on. I'm just going to go and grab that panel from next door, so bear with me a second. back. So Richard, looks fine. Put bottom panel on. I didn't bother with the hinges. Nah, nor have I. Even on the 2.4, which is not in inverted electronics, I didn't bother putting the hinges on because they just didn't seem to work. So it should be one more. Yep. So I just printed an extra 2 normal clips, basically. They go in these locations. So yeah, inverted electronics is a really cool mod actually. So I've got to put some VHB tape on these so I can do that. Don't really need to do anything with that. Got the network port thing in there. Yeah, I think we should be good. VHB tape is a little bit of a pain sometimes. Because never, when this is the wide stuff, I have got some narrower stuff, but I think I'll just stick with this for now. And then we'll just trim it. So the bottom panel, which is here, is basically just going to sit. That's not the bottom panel, that's the back panel. I've got the wrong one, so bear with me a second. So I just didn't make all deaf there when I just dropped the mic. Okay, so let's continue putting this on. So now I've got the right panel, the correct panel. This will go on basically like this. So I should still have access to put on this display and everything. So I'm not really a huge fan of VHB tape for holding electronics down, particularly on one of the V0s. The clips that are holding, so they're printed DIN rail clips, and they just tend to come off the back of the back panel because they don't stick very well. So but I think for something like this, their VHB tape is fine. Doesn't hurt to have a little bit extra either, so. Because this is only going to be stuck down to a rear panel that we're not going to see, so. So what has everyone been up to this weekend? The weather is a little bit more autumnal now here in the UK, which basically means wind and rain, although it's sunny, so we shouldn't complain too much. I actually went to same where Richard is. I actually went to a yoga class yesterday, something I've been doing for a couple of weeks now. And it's not until the sort of the day after you sort of start feeling it in your legs. But that would be because I'm probably unfit rather than because yoga makes your legs ache. So one thing I have got to do in here is now I've had a little bit of a tidy out today, so I need to get my exercise bike back in. So because I've sort of got out of the habit of getting on my exercise bike in the morning. So yeah, so at the end of today's stream, when I've finished obviously, is I'm going to put all my camera stuff away so that I can actually get my bike in here, because at the moment it's actually just on the other side of this door. And I'm been too lazy to get it in to actually use it, so plan is to get it back into operation. Yeah, I get your point, Richard. I would say I'm probably the opposite. Like I got a friend of mine who is more of a keen runner than me, and he's got me to do like park runs and whatever. But I don't know if it's because it's more harder work doing it on actual terrain and sort of undulations on the running track or whatever, but I much prefer to do that on a treadmill. And then I managed to get this exercise bike for like pretty damn cheap, so I ended up getting an exercise bike instead of, yeah, it's weird. Rather than getting my actual physical bike fixed, I just started going on a exercise bike. I did it pretty religiously for like the first 6-7 months of the year. Lost just over a stone. And then I've just sort of fell out of the habit of doing it. Like you stop maybe for a couple of weeks for whatever reason, and then you just don't get back into it, and that's basically what happened with me. So but yeah, that's why I'm gonna. So my exercise regime is all about Gamification. So I changed myself on. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was like following an app to do my exercise bike sessions, because it was like, I suppose you could call it like HIIT training. So you do like an interval of faster pedaling and whatever. Yeah, I don't think I could just sit on a bike and pedal. Like, there has to be some motivation throughout the actual exercise as well. Right, that's VHB tape applied. So let's move that out of the way. Get these bits out of the way. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that the where's the mouse? There it is. The filter is on the mic. Yeah. But I had the same trouble when I started the stream, that it wasn't recognising the mic again. So hopefully it's working okay. Okay. So what I think we might do, let's find the right page for the panels. See what it says about the bottom panels. So that was an earlier part then, wasn't it? Okay. They're probably M38s, they normally are. Pretty much everything is M38s. There we go. Yep, M38s. Right. So, not sure what the easiest way to do this is, other than to sort of hold the panel and get a couple of clips on. Better take the protective thing off first. Yeah, we might do the side ones first, I think. We might better hold it there while we're doing it. So let's see how easy this paper stuff's going to come off. Some panels you get, it comes off really easy, some just don't. So yeah, this is going to tear all over the place, as you can see. So the one thing I would have liked to have seen is the same panel texture and colour or finish that's on the V0 kits. They've got like a nice matte textured side, whereas it looks like both of these sides are going to be glossy, but that's fine. Yeah, it is a little bit annoying getting the paper off. If you've ever built, it's probably easier if you've got somewhere to put the panel while you're pulling it off. Unlike me, who's just doing it here while I'm standing. Yeah, if you've ever built an ANET A8 or similar acrylic framed printer, you'll know that you basically want to murder someone after you've done it. What I would say is, for as much as I hate having to pull this off, there's no way I could live with myself if I left this paper on the panels and built the printer. I just don't think it looks very good at all. So it is sort of worth it in the end. There we go, it's one side. Richard, no, you can't leave the paper on. You have to take it off. Yeah, both sides are a gloss finish. What I probably will do is save you the pain of watching me do the other panels, is that I'll probably prep that off camera, or not bother putting them on camera, if that makes sense. I wanted to do that, Richard, but I got told myself no. Yeah, right. I wasn't being lazy this time. Also, didn't want to heat it up or anything. Yeah, I'm not sure how well that would work. I think did I say in the unboxing stream that these were acrylic? Extruded acrylic, yeah. So I'm not sure how well these will hold up to heat. So unlike the 2.4, obviously the bed of a Trident is higher up, so most of the time, so you shouldn't have direct heat on the panel. Are these? Oh yeah, they're extruded acrylic. Yeah, but luckily I'm just going to do this panel for now, so and then I'm not sure what is it worth putting the DIN rails DIN rail things on first, Richard, before I put this panel on, or is that sort of quite accessible from the other side, from the top? Probably should be fairly accessible from the top, I would imagine. Yeah, okay. None of this paper's actually going in the bin, by the way. It's just literally being thrown on the floor. There we go. So that's that done. So that will sit on there like that. But as I say, we'll do the inverted electronic DIN rail holders first. So let's get them out. And I guess I should get the DIN rails. Okay, so these basically will go on, and I think they go on in front of the fans, is that right? So what sort of hardware are we looking at for these? Probably some M5x16s, and then we're going to want some nuts as well. So let's put these in this way. We'll do one just so I can see what it looks like. Okay, mate. So these basically fit inside these printed parts. I'm not sure if they need to go just flush with the ends or not. We'll put one on and find out. And then there's small little notches that stick out on this top part, and they'll sit into the extrusion. So they sort of do have a way round that you've got to put them. So we'll just put that on there like that. And then this is basically going to sit in here. Like that. Is that the wrong way around? Which way should I put it? Let's try it the other way around. So, oh no, I guess I can't go any other way around. It has to go that way. Let's put them both on first. So yeah, these go on into the printed parts, and just be careful when you're pushing these through you don't stab yourself. I think, as I said in the unboxing stream, these have got rounded edges, so you should be okay to not stab yourself. So yeah, that's going to go on like that. If I put those on the right way around. Just take these off. Okay, so that's going to go like that. So this one will go on here. I'm not sure if these are mirrored or anything, so we'll find out. That one fit? Yeah. And I'll probably square these up once the bottom panel's on and everything, and we can see what we're doing. Let me try and get this next one in the right place. Not very easy to see what I'm doing, but I like making things difficult for myself. Let's try that. There we go. Like I say, we'll sort of try and get them roughly in the right place now. But we'll do the final adjustment later. Then we'll do the bottom one. So the way I've done it is to basically have the U shapes so that they're mirrored. Probably don't have to do it like that, you do it however you want, but that's how I'm doing it. Okay, just 2 more or 4 more nuts in. Okay. Try and maybe be a bit smarter about this and put those the wrong way around. Yeah, that was the wrong way around. Trying to find the right tool to do the job here. Just want to try and take these rolling nuts out. There we go. Going to turn that one round. That one I did the right way around. Yeah. Okay. Try and get these roughly in the right place first. There we go. There we go. So that's them basically on, and then we'll make the final adjustments in a second once we've got this bottom panel on. So, Richard, did you use any of the little spacer things that go on the DIN rails as well? I think I printed some, so I wasn't sure if I was going to use them or not. I'm not sure how many of them I printed. No, you didn't. I might use a couple as I've printed them, if I can find them all. Pretty sure I printed more than one, but it's not looking like it at the moment. That's weird. So I'll get this piece out and I'll tell you about that in a second. That's a piece that I found on printables that I think is quite a good idea. I might have only printed two, and then I'll just put one in the middle, I guess. Yeah, I'm just going to put one sort of roughly in the middle. Don't think they really do a lot, but I printed them, so I might as well use them. Yeah. So, what's going to be the best way to get this panel on? I reckon if I try and put a side one on first, this is where you sort of need a third pair of hands, someone to hold your panel for you. We've got a couple of them out. I'll try and remove VHB tape backing and hold the panel and do everything else. This is probably worse than taking the paper off the panels, just getting the backing off your VHB tape. There we go. So, don't know how well this is going to go, but if I can get a screw in, then that'll at least hold it a second while I do the other one. Okay. Get another screw in. There we go. And we can just push and get these stuck a little bit. So that should hopefully be okay. And then I'll just go around and do the others. In fact, I might take the backing off first on all of them, so I'm not standing here each time. So what I think I'll do once I've got this panel on is basically continue from where the manual sort of goes. So we'll look at the X-axis next. I think that'll be a good idea. So what I'm basically doing here is screwing it into the insert first to ensure that the screw is going to go in the right place, and then just making sure it sticks onto the panel. As best as possible. There we go. We might have had a little bit more of a gap at the front than we did at the back, but that should be fine. And then all this is just gonna just stiffen everything up a bit. So that should be that done. So let's stand up and have a look. So now we've got our inverted electronic bay. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. We'll have our fans on this side blowing in. I'm not sure how much space I need between the DIN rails yet. I'll sort that out later. But I just wanted to talk about this part that I printed off actually. It's going to take a little while to finish it, I'm afraid, Richard. And that's mainly because we're doing it on stream. Like if I was doing this not on stream, I'd have probably finished it by now. But it's quite nice sometimes to sort of take your time with it. Just so you can sort of take in the whole process. Do you know roughly where your DIN rails are inside the thing, Richard? While you're answering that. Yeah, it is good to take your time. But I just want to talk about this part, and I'm just going to zoom the camera in. And I'll probably move it a bit closer. So, on the unboxing stream, we were talking about Wagos and stuff like that. So for the bed, it has 3 Wagos. That's for your earth cable and then the 2 heater cables. But as I pointed out, that means that your thermistor cable is basically not going to have a break in it, and it's just going to go all the way down the cable chain, which means having the Wagos is a bit pointless. So this part I found on printables. Got your 3 Wagos, and then in these 2 holes we're going to put JST connectors, and they'll just be connected with a cable between them on the back, and then with that basically means we can have a removable thermistor connection. So I have gotten to put the link in the description, but I will do that after the stream ends, so you can find this part, and it's got a Voron logo on the front. So that's pretty cool. I thought it was quite a good idea. So yeah. And I've missed a little bit on the chat, so see if I can catch up. What nozzles do you guys use? Cheap, £2 for 10 pieces on Express, or 2 or 3 better quality of about have you now. So nozzles, oh, you have a little, so yeah, like I would have liked a little PCB like that is on the V0s, but I think this will suffice. So in terms of nozzles, the 2.4 next door has got a Revo on, so obviously I've got Revo nozzles, which means they're like 20 quid a go. This will have a Dragon hot end on, so it will just have the M or the V6 style. It does, like if you watch, I think Stefan from CNC Kitchen did a video. Nozzles, cheap nozzles just aren't drilled as well, so it does make a little bit of a difference to pay that little bit extra to get a nice nozzle. And if you're just printing, like if you're not printing abrasive materials, they'll last quite a while. Like you haven't got to replace them, like they are a consumable, but you haven't got to replace them like every 6 months or whatever. I mean, I've got my little box, my Revo box here, and I can show you. So again, like what you've got, some people don't understand is when you do YouTube stuff or social media stuff, people do send you stuff, right? So that's the first thing to know. So I have had the odd thing from E3D, and then they've sent nozzles at the same time. And I have also purchased Revo stuff. I replaced my first nozzle already because I took Z calibration off and forgot to Z offset, so the nozzle scratched the bed for the whole layer. Ooh. So I mean, I've got quite a few Revo nozzles, 0.4, 0.6. I've got an Obsidian that hasn't been used yet, just because I've like not really found anything that I want to print with it. I think that is my one criticism of Revo, is the cost of each nozzle. But what you've got to understand is that it's the nozzle and the heat break. So, and then obviously your heater and your thermistor is one unit as well. I've bought some some Revo nozzles I've bought and some. So when I've bought, I think I bought a Hemera Revo, and that was like I bought the one with the full set of nozzles. Oh yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see you joining the stream. So yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that. So I think what we'll do is because we've not really made much progress on the printer because I've been faffing about with that. So I think we'll do the X-axis now. So let me shoot up on the. Then we'll at least get something done. So I can't. There's some things I won't be able to do because I'm waiting for something from our friend in chat, Richard. But I will show you what I can do and what I can't do. So let's get some parts. So we're going to want basically everything that isn't bed mount stuff, which is just these 4 pieces. Hello Graham, no problem. Don't worry about it, Richard. I mean, it's like it'll get here when it get here. It's only the obviously the probe section, but we probably won't like be closing it off as such today. So right, let's find the part we need. So this part, this is the part with the notch in. Gotta love a roast dinner. So we normally have our, if we were having a roast, we have it in the evening. I think we have actually got a roast today, so that would be nice. So rather than, so now I've got to find, that's what I want, M540. So we've got the part with the cable notch. We want to orientate this correctly, so we want to put a bolt in there, which we then flip, and then we want some bearing stacks basically. Roast lamb sprouts off the allotment. Ooh. I mean, if you're gonna have a roast, you've got to have all the bits, haven't you? So let's get these out into the tray. So first thing we want is a washer, and then get our bearing stacks. And then another washer. Like that. Go next page. And then we want some M5 nuts. So we can put the M5 nuts in both of these. Have I had the M5 nuts out? That is the question. Now, yep. Remembering I've got those 2 there that need to go in something. So basically what you're saying is, Richard, if you want a roast dinner, you've got to work for it. Oops. There we go. So then what we want to do is you take this part and then I've put the nuts in the wrong one. They either go in first time or they don't. That's the thing with these nuts. I can't talk about food too much because that'll make me want to eat. I feel hungry. Okay. So we've got the part with the notch. Got this bit coming out here. Basically the notch goes towards the notch. That goes in that hole. Then basically what we're going to do is get the right size? No. Let's get the right size thing. Although I am happy to talk about food. So if you're having a roast, are you having homemade batter pudding as well? And I'm imagining there's going to be a few people who are like, what the hell are they talking about? So we haven't tightened that up fully. We just sort of started it off. And then what we're going to do is also put, we need another couple of the M5x40s. And we're going to need the 20 tooth idler. You don't know what batter pudding is? So batter pudding is basically flour. I think it's basically flour, egg and milk. And it's like, it's just basically like a stodgy type, yeah, Yorkshire pudding, yeah, batter pudding, Yorkshire pudding. It's like what you use to soak up your gravy and that. Okay, right, where am I putting this? Right, let's go in there. Okay, so I don't think we need... Okay, let's do these up a little bit. Just so things don't come apart. There we go. Homemade gravy. Yeah. Stuffing. Pigs in blankets. This is like Christmas dinner really, now we're talking. So we've got our idler, which will go in here. And that's another M5x40. Right, so an important thing to note here is that we are basically tightening into plastic. So we don't want to go too tight. And this bolt basically can go just below the surface, I believe. So then it just asks us to check that things are where they should be. Yeah, so we're not tightening this stuff up too much, just enough basically to get stuff where it needs to be. Make sure that everything still spins freely and stuff like that. And I suspect we'll have to put this over an extrusion in a minute anyway. Are the bearings generic brand or NSK or whatever? They were just in, I think they were just in a bag, so see if there's anything written on them. I don't think there was anything written on them. Yeah, I can't see anything written on them at all. I don't think they were branded ones. They've got a little bit of grease or oil on them or something. I'm just going to wipe my hands. Yeah, but they're not branded ones, no. So that is basically that one done. Then we move on to the next one basically. And it's pretty much the same routine. Although this one is a little bit different because this hole that we're now putting this bearing stack in, if I get a bolt out, isn't basically captured. This sort of is free moving. So you basically have to just hold it there, sort of in the hole, and then do your bearing stack. Like that. And then what we're going to do is try and put the whole lot together while trying not to drop anything. That'll be easier once we put the other ones on, the other bolts. So again, basically just put another 2 bolts in, up through the printed parts, and then they'll go into the nuts as well. Like that, and then nothing can fall out, so we can sort of put a pinch on these to not tighten them down. And then basically we'll move on to putting the other toothed idler in, which goes in this side now. Another M40, or M5 by 40 I should say. And again, sort of ask you to check your work, make sure things are where it thinks they should be. Make sure everything's moving. Give things a little bit of a tighten down, but not crazy. And then that one's done. So we then need to get our next extrusion. So where do I put them? Here. That's going to be this one, I believe, because this is basically going to go in here. Let me just double check if this is, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the right one. So we get our extrusion, E extrusion, and then we want some M5 T-nuts. So these go in, and they're orientated on the diagram, so put them in the right way. We've got another one without a ball in it. And if the, oh yeah, they're in the tray. Not sure if how you put them back in. Oh, that one just falls out basically. Oh, there's a little spring as well. Interesting. Okay, so we've got two in the top, and then we're going to put some M3s in the side, and this will be for our linear rail. They are not open on Sundays. That is correct. On one thing about the Fysetc kit was that I had so many M3 V slot bearing nuts and barely enough M5s. You mean, are you talking about the nuts? The W? I'm just going to grab the linear rail so that I can sort of see how many nuts I'm going to need. And what I will also do while I'm here is find the... Yeah, I haven't... I'll have to see how I get on. If I do find that I'm short, I will post in the forum, or the Discord, sorry. I mean, I'm probably in the lucky position that I have quite a few spares of stuff anyway, so. But it is good to feed back if there isn't enough. Yeah, so there is, I mean, there's loads of hammer nuts. I'll probably never use all of them. Right, so how many of these are we going to want? So let's have a look. We'll put a few in and then decide what we're going to do. It could be. I know my 2.4 from Cybor, the problem they had is that they had used the what's it called? The configurator to get their quantities. No, sorry, they used the sourcing guide, and the sourcing guide at one point was just for a 250. So on a 300 kit, you obviously wouldn't have enough stuff. Whereas if you go through the configurator, it actually tells you how many you need for the size that you select. That could be where they've gone wrong. That should have been corrected when I had my kit. Oops. So I think we're probably going to have 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so we'll have 4 each side, I think. These ones go this way, and then We turn and go back the other way. I don't think there was any particular change in terms of hardware. Could have been, but I'm not entirely sure. Right, so I've moved that round. I think I'm going to space these now while I've got the chance. That should be in the right place. And then we want 2 more N5s on the what would effectively be the bottom. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do is put the carriage on. So we'll just line that up, and again we use our rail spacers, rail guide thingies, and then just put that on there. And then this should hopefully line up more or less. Might have to tweak them a bit. And then we want M3/8 for these. So like we did before, we're basically just going to put these in, just get a couple of turns on them to start them, and then we'll come through and tighten them in a particular order in a second. And I should say the rail has been greased and everything in preparation. I did them all together last time. Didn't quite get these all lined up first time. Now we're just going to sort of try and get it sort of centered roughly in the middle. Get rid of that. Right. How did you grease the rails? Not the x-axis, the ones, not the x-axis one that has holes, the other ones. So even though this has got a hole in it, it's probably not a grease hole. You will find that most cheaper rails, shall we say, like if you had high wind rails, that would be a grease port, but these are probably not real grease ports. So what I do, the W, is obviously with the rail off, I position the cart over one of the screw holes. So I'd move this cart over the top of the hole, and then from the other side I use EP2 grease in a syringe. And I basically inject it into the hole and then see it start to come out a little bit through the balls in the rail. And then I move the cart up and down a few times to lubricate all the balls. And then basically I go back over to that hole and do a little bit more, and then basically that's enough grease in the rail cart to grease it fine. It might have a hole, but without taking the wiper off, I wouldn't be able to tell you for definite if that is an actual grease hole. I would suspect it isn't, but I can't know for sure. So I'm just going to see if I've got to position this any particular way. I think I'm just going to try and get it roughly in the middle. I think the only linear rails that I've got that have got actual grease ports on are high wind rails. The others are not. And I know that because I have taken carriages apart before, and the hole is in the wiper, but then it doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, I'm just going to try and get this sort of roughly the same distance from the ends. Which it basically is there. So I'm going to leave it. And then what we do is we start from the outside and go either way. Just tighten them down. Not too tight that you strip anything. And you can come back and give them a little bit more at the end. There we go. Hello, Poity. Nice to see you. And that feels really nice on there. So that's that one done. So we don't need to worry about securing the rail because I've still got the stoppers in. And then we basically start now assembling the carriage. So we want some M5x10s, which are these. We're going to turn the rail so it's facing us. Hello, Scolder. How are you? Haven't seen you around for a while. Right, now I've got to work out which one I want. So we want this one first. So this is the one without the wire channel, if you want to call it that. So let's get these screws in the right place, or the nuts, sorry. M5x10s. These leave loose for a little while. And then we want an M530 with a 5mm shim. This will go into the bottom. So let's get this one in place. There we go, and again we'll just leave that loose. And we want to do the other side. He wants us to do the M5 or the 30 first. Let's get that in the right place. M530 and a shim. not bad, thanks. And no being too busy with real life. Also with the other YouTuber, not pretty much recently. Pond drain covers with a. I gotta read that again. Oh, you got another YouTube channel, have you, Scott? I know you did, obviously, the printing channel. Not printed much recently other than pond drain covers that I designed, but do need to clipper upgrade my printers. Yep, get the clipper on. So what I'm going to do a little bit different from the manual is just to put some screws in this end, because we won't be using cable chains, and so therefore not the cable, whatever they call it, we can put them in there and that's fine. Yeah, it's to do with aquatics, basically using fish waste to fertilise fruit and veg I'm growing. Oh, that's interesting. Right, so we now need to put this onto the printer basically. So we want some M316s, and they're probably going to be in a bag somewhere. Have a look. Yep, they're in here. So that'll be these ones. Put them in this right here. Gonna make sure they are the right ones. Yep. Would be like, I really like this case, and obviously tells you the contents of the hardware, and then the lid tells you what should be in what, but the bags have got nothing written on them. It would be kind of helpful just to have something on the bag as well, especially if you're putting multiple things in one hole, but it's easy to find out what is what, I guess. Okay, so what we're going to now do is I'm going to put the rail stop in the same place as this one, so just the second hole in. Then I can bring the cart on both sides all the way forward to that stop. Bags in the case. Yeah. So there's not enough holes to have individual things. So like this one has got 2 different things in. This one's got 3 in. This one's got 3 in. So in those spaces in the tray, they've then put the hardware in a bag. I guess, I mean, the only other option is to have a bigger box, but yeah, I quite like the smaller tray though, to be fair. I guess you could, like the nuts, you could technically, I can't remember how many there was in there, but you could technically get a spacer in there. So you probably could fill the case with individual stuff, to be fair. They just haven't. Can you tell me what the difference is between the Trident and a standard Voron, as I could never work it out from the pictures, the videos not right. So a Trident is literally like a Trident. It has 3 stepper motors, so 1 at the back, 2 at the front, and that is a moving bed fixed gantry. or a fixed, yeah, so the gantry stays at the top basically. And then a 2.4, which I've got next door, that's a fixed bed at the bottom. And then each corner is a separate Z drive, and that's belted. So they're driven by belts, and then the whole gantry moves up and down. So they're all Core XY, but they just then do that in a different way. Right, so let's get this. So M3, 16s. Then what we want to do is basically put this under here. We're basically going to just put some bolts in to hold it in place. Do you think you will do more E3D TC content? Probably unlikely, but not totally impossible. It's because mainly I would like to sell the tool changer, but the problem is finding someone to buy it. So okay, right, let's try and get this. So I might need to undo these a little bit. Just so we can move this. There we go. And I dropped that one. Right, let me just get a screw in here and then I can answer your question properly. Yeah, so ideally I would like to sell the tool changer. However, finding someone to buy said tool changer is not that easy, because obviously it's a reasonably expensive machine and it's not really something I would want to disassemble to then ship. Good question. Scolder, which one is better? I'm not sure if one is particularly better than the other, and obviously I haven't built this one yet, so I can't sort of say if this one or the other one prints better. This one is easier to build, I would say, for sure. I mean, if you watched the last stream, we got so much done so quickly once we'd built the frame. Everything sort of just bolts on. Yeah, so Richard is saying the Trident's easier maintenance, the 2.4 is cooler. What tool head will you be using on the Trident? So this will have a stealth burner. I mean, nearly most of the parts were printed either on my 2.4 or my V0s, and I would probably agree with Richard, the reliability. Well, obviously I haven't built this yet, so I can't say if this one's better or that one's better or what, but this has my 2.4 is really good for me, really reliable. Stealth burner fans screw in right, especially the hot end one. The one thing I don't like about afterburner is that the hot end fan is not screwed in and it wobbles, vibrates. Can't remember, to be honest. No, they both just basically sit in. Let me zoom in a bit. So they've got these like little parts on the side which are sort of spring loaded. They do break, but they're they sort of hold the fan in, and then the same on the top fan. And then if you're going to use you do put some screws up here to hold this one in. But yeah, the fans don't screw in, no. They're sort of held in with the printed part. Yeah, so that they don't screw in, but they do get held in with the actual geometry of the part. In a few weeks of use, I found Trident pretty easy to work on and maintain, upgrade. Graham says squaring the gantry on the 2.4 was the hardest part I found. Yeah, it can be. It all depends, like, how you do it. So that is basically what we're going to be doing in a second, so we don't need that. So squaring the gantry. So what we're going to do is we'll take the things out of the rails now, because they don't need to be in there. But the key thing to squaring the gantry is to basically start with everything loose. And then what you do, or what I do, is then put it all the way to the back and hold it at the back, right? So we're not, nothing's tightened up at the moment, everything's sort of loose. So I'm just going to get this roughly sort of in the middle. And then this is where we then sort of start tightening things up. Yeah, so I mean, they don't really go into a lot of detail on the manual how to do it. But basically what you want to do is have everything loose and have it basically all the way at the back, hold it at the back, and then start tightening things up. So if you start with the bottom ones, and you just get a little bit, you just gradually get tighter and tighter basically, but without sort of going really too tight. I'm just going to see what's happening with the music. Bear with me. There we go. Yeah, I guess the problem, well, not necessarily the problem, but the Vorons sort of aren't made for absolute beginners, right? So they sort of assume you have like a little bit of understanding. I don't think there's sort of like a build this one first kind of thing, but if you'd built a V0 first, which in my opinion is probably one of the hardest ones to build because it's just so small, and then the 2.4 and the Trident are just bigger printers, and the concept is the same, so you learn from doing the smaller one to then do the bigger ones, if that makes sense. So that is now basically squared without having to do much work. Poity says, I have both printers. Trident is bigger in size for same build volume. That's the only downside I have. Yeah, I haven't. Trident is bigger Yeah, because you've got, it's hard to sort of, I'm going to measure them actually. So these are both 300mm printers. This one is 460 wide by about 465. So let me go next door. This is 460. So I think they're actually about the same size. What about height? This is to the top of the extrusion 570. And this is 580. So the Trident is bigger. Yeah. It's the height, yeah. Because obviously the bed has got all the bits underneath it and everything, I guess. So we're just going to tighten these up a little bit. Just make sure these are all tightened up as well. Again, not going crazy because we're only this is nice and square. Moves nice as well. So we'll just basically go through now and do the final tighten if we haven't already. Yep. It moves really nice, so happy with that. But there could perhaps be a little bit more instruction on how to square the gantry in the manual, I feel. But like I say, I don't think they're really hey, Steve Beals is here. Hello, Steve. Richard says, by the way, when you have finished, can I seal your print start macro for the 2.4? Yep, I'll send it over to you. We're getting there, Steve. So we've now got gantry done. Inverted electronics is ready for electronics. So let's have a look at the next part of the manual. So it's now running the belts basically. So what we'll do is we'll just get the printed parts ready before we go and run the belts. Have a little tidy up as well, and then see what we need. So I have got these parts ready off stream by basically just putting the inserts in. So this, how much detail do I want to go into? So in terms of bed probe, I will be using a eddy current sensor, which is being sent to me by Richard. So that's why I'm not going to be installing the inductive probe, and why this gantry part has got some inserts on the bottom as well. Trying to hold this all together. It is not a beacon, no, poity, which is why I don't want to go into too much detail. But it is the same technology as the beacon, yeah, an eddy current sensor. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put these M3 by 12s in the front, which is these ones here. M312 seems quite big. Lol. It is unfortunate that there are some people in the community who what's the best way of saying it? They're a bit protective of things that have nothing to do with them, and they perhaps take it to extremes in that regard. But what you've got to remember is that 3D printing wouldn't be where it is now if things weren't, if you want to call it clone, call it cloned. If you want to call it modified, adapted, whatever. Things get to where they are because of that very fact. Because things are modified, they're cloned, they're copied, they're updated, whatever. So I would say don't take it so to heart if something you like from someone you know or are associated in the same community as you is copied or cloned or updated or whatever. Just move on with your life, that's all I'm going to say. Rightly or wrongly, I'm going to fit a Fysetc tap kit. So I've not had any experience with tap. I think that's the thing, right? You can fit tap, see how it goes. If it works for you, great, leave it on. If it doesn't work, change it out. It's not like the end of the world. It's not, and it's not that hard to actually do. So yeah, go for it, fit tap. I mean, there's CNC versions of tap now, there's carbon fiber versions of tap. Yeah, exactly, Poity. You know, it's your printer, you do what you want, and then, yeah, that is exactly that. So this basically just sort of is an overview of the belt paths and going around pulleys and stuff like that. So this wants us to put these in so that there's about 3mm. That an M312 just seems too big. I don't know. Let's see how far that can actually go. Oh no, I can't go that far down. Let's see how far. Is that 3mm? Yeah, 3mm gap. Okay, a little bit more. On my printers, 300 or above, I use beacon. Where available, if it were available, I use tap. On the smaller ones, I just my preference. Yeah, exactly. And the reason, obviously, you're using beacon on a bigger printer is just for the speed that it can do the job, which makes perfect sense. And that's, I guess, and that's the reason for me why I haven't got any leveling sensor or anything on the V0, because it's so small, it seems a waste of time to put one on there. But there are people who do, and that works for them, so let them do it. Right, so we've got those in. So we're going to need, so let me get the belt, let me find what box that's in. Exactly, V0 is fun to level. Yeah, fun, yeah, that's one word for it. No, I mean, it either works or it doesn't. Like, you just have to tweak where you want to get it, basically. Right, I'm just gonna look for the belt. Right, here we go. So as Richard has said in the chat, it's not just about speed. Eddy current do extremely accurate detailed meshes at a really high resolution. Yeah, so not only is it fast on a bigger printer, it's also more valuable because it improves your mesh on a larger printer as well. So we've got two belts here, so hopefully they're the right size, but we haven't got to cut anything. Let's find the end of this tape. I do really appreciate the value of a nozzle probe though. Yeah. The good old days of adjusting a screw into an end stop and then having to home again to see if your adjustment is enough and whatever. Right. I've seen I have seen tap / beacon combos. Yeah. Now I wonder if that was the way Bamboo Lab was going to go with their A1 Mini. Because in some videos I've seen that they've actually got an eddy current sensor on the bottom of the fan, but they were in some clear ones that I think they sent to certain people, and then the videos I've seen of the production ones, which are the coloured grey plastic ones, they've got rid of that. I wonder if that was what they were going to do. So basically what we want to do is put one side of this on with a belt under each side. Eddy current, but forgot the thermistor. That's the problem with that. There is no thermal offset. And if anyone wants to know, I think we did check this on the unboxing stream, but these are Gates Power Grip belts, just in case anyone wanted to know. So let's bring this forward. And I don't know if Steve's still here, but I'm probably going to disappoint him because I've put the linear rail on with the text upside down. I'm sorry, Steve. So we want M3/8s, which are these. Oh, we want some socket head cap, which I don't. Oh yes, that is socket head. Thinking of button head. want to put this belt, clamp both A and B belts in by installing the left carriage belt teeth face away from the extrusion. Yeah. Oh, I've covered the other ones up now, so I can't see if they were in the right place or not. Okay. How easy is this? This is not going to be easy to do. Can I put that on lightly and then push the belt through? Let's see. I think so. Keep these belts separate if we can. Okay, I think we can. Let's put another one in. There we go. Getting my belts mixed up. There we go. Oh, let's just poke them through and then pull it out in a sec. Okay. And just make sure they're not that funny angle on the back. They're about even at the front. There we go. Right. So next step is basically routing the belt. So I'm going to make a little bit of room because I'm probably going to want to turn the print around as I'm doing it. Okay. I never remember which is the A and which is the B belt. So this is going to be the top one. So just move that back a bit. So what we've got to do with this one, this belt is a bit curly, so it will either help us or it won't. We'll get something to poke it. So what we're basically doing here is going round this first pulley. I'll try and keep a little bit of tension on it so that it doesn't fall down off the pulley. Okay, so then what we need to do is turn the printer on to the side. And then we're going to take this belt, go it might be easier to turn it right way around actually. So this belt is then going to go through the top here. And this is where the bendy belt is not going to help us. What can I do? We just need to basically get it to go a little bit straighter. So that we can get it to go round these pulleys. Just bending at the last second as I'm pushing it through. What we don't want to do is also forget which way the belt's got to go round. Okay, so what we can actually do, I think, is if we're careful, we can not quite working as I hoped. Keep me into our James. How are you finding WeChat? Keeping up in it? I'll be honest with you, I haven't opened it. Yeah, I haven't really used it, to be honest, Richard. And that's mainly because I've got so many other apps to keep a track of that unless there's a specific reason for me to use it, I haven't been using it. After we went to the effort of like getting it working and everything, well, I say getting it working, it was just a matter of like being authorized or whatever it was. I can't remember now. This is not going well. Howdy, printer porn. Let's try that. So close, I can nearly get this belt. Verified, yeah. That's the problem, like there's so many different apps and everything now. Like, how many do we really need? Let's be honest. And I know why WeChat exists for you guys, but yeah, it doesn't really make much sense for me to use it. Does that make, you know? Who'd have thought that the belts were going to be the hardest part today? It's just not wanting to go where I want it to go. So, let's try again. This is so hard. Getting this belt past these pulleys. Nearly doing it. It's just at the last minute. It's bending into the extrusion. I'm gonna see if it'd be better. Wow. Good job I've got this music on so you can't hear, so you can got something to listen to while I'm trying to struggle with these belts. Gonna make sure I'm doing this correctly. Yeah, so we're not going, we're literally trying to get it past the bearing. to turn this around a bit. Try and get this to go a bit straighter. There we go. Okay, so then this belt basically just goes round the top pulley and then goes along to the next side. And then the next side we've got to go round the pulley into the tooth pulley and then back out. So what you can sometimes do is get this to go in sort of use the motor itself just to pull it round, and that's going to come out there, and then we'll put it back in, get it to come out like that. And then no, I've done that wrong. So we don't want to come out here, we want to come out over here. Might be easier to push it from this side. There we go. So there we go. So basically we've gone, I want to show you a picture of this. I'm going to move the camera a bit, so apologise for it to be shaky for a second. So basically what we've done is we've come along the back, we've gone round this bearing stack into where the motor is, round the pulley, round the tooth pulley, and then we don't want to come straight out, we want to, it sort of comes out at a bit of an angle, so that you then go round this next bearing stack. So something I've seen a few times on the Voron Discord is people who have sort of looked at the diagram and think that it needs to go over the plastic. The belt will never come in contact with any plastic, or it shouldn't do. So that's why you're sort of coming at an angle. So I'll just move you guys back a bit. Actually, let me yeah, we should be fine there. So we've then got to come round that pulley and back out this way. I'm now going to have the opposite problem where the belt is now going the other way. So let's see. just going to move you guys back a bit more. Just focus on this. There we go. What brand are the belts? They are Gates Power Grip GT LL2 GT. There we go. Step that out. So making sure everything is where it should be, around pulleys and whatever. Trying to print something and a small bit is coming off. Yeah. So then this goes basically through here like that, and then we want to go in into the tensioner, round and back out again. Oops. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. What would be the best way to do this, I wonder? Not really anywhere to get in there to encourage it, is there? If we push it hard enough, we can get it to go. No, we sort of want the belt now to bend the other way. And bend it that way. There we go. And then we go around the toothed pulley at the front. And then that would be our first belt run. That took a bit, didn't it? We've got our tensioners all the way to the back, so there. But we've got plenty of adjustment, basically, is what I'm saying. Okay, so we then have to do the B belt. Which is basically the opposite of what we've just done, or going the opposite way, I should say. Trying to print something and a small bit is coming off the support underneath. There's so many ways that a print can fail. I unfortunately. This is going to be tricky to get this to go around the other way. Apologies if all you're seeing is the back of my head right now. Here we go from the top, let's try that. I wonder if we can come in from the bottom. Another case where a third pair of hands will be handy. Oops. There we go. Got there eventually. Okay, then let's just pull that back a second. You want to get the belt through that gap. There we go. So let's go this way, all the way around. So we've basically got to now get that back through this pulley again. we've done it once, so we should be able to do it again. There we go. And then this time, get this, we're going to go in towards the stepper motor pulley, round the stepper motor pulley, and then out again, like that. And then we'll go along the back again. Try not to twist the belt. And we're going to go out this way. Try not to get it stuck in the extrusion again, like that. And then we'll obviously make sure everything's on the pulleys that it needs to be on and everything else. Once we start tightening or getting the belt to the final location, so we've got to now go into here and round this way. Like that. So that's now our two belts basically where they should be. So that took a little while. So use the second carriage part to capture the belts. So we need our M3 by 8. So what we're going to do, because it hasn't told us to do it, is we need to put some M3 nuts into this printed part. Now I don't know if they're lock nuts or if they're other ones. I think if we go to the stealth burner assembly manual, I think it tells us in there. So let's have a look. I'm sure it was in this part somewhere. I might be mistaken. Just M3 hex nuts according to this. So we get 2 hex nuts out. And then they just go into the ends of the extrusion here. And what I might do is get a screw that's long enough just to try and pull those through a little bit. So all I did there was basically screw the screw into the nut a bit and then just pulled it. So rather than use the and then what we'll do, rather than using the screw to drive it back, I just pulled it back. Now this one, this bottom one, has a round bit at the front, and then the hex comes later on. So what we need to make sure is that we get the hex nut the right way around. So let me see. So pretty much with the flat piece at the bottom. Just like that. So again, I've just used the screw to pull it into the hole. Okay, so let's go back to our other manual. So we want M3/8. That was one of the nuts falling out. So just be aware of that can fall off. And then what we want to try and do is capture the belts with this printed part, and getting the other belts out of the way also. And then what we want to do is do it up enough that the belts are in the slots, but not so tight that we can't actually pull the belts through for the moment. Better let go of that, yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next page. Use the second part of the carriage to capture the belts. Slightly tighten the screws, the belt must still be able to move, yeah. Then we also want to put the bolts in that we need for the carriage. So this is a 30, so we put a 30 on the bottom. And we'll just slightly do, and this nut has come out as well. We'll just grab that enough to hold the nut. Now we also need an M3 by 40, which is in this top one here. Just double check. Yep. That goes in this top part. There we go, and we'll just do it enough to capture the nut. top bolt seems a bit long. Don't know if that's supposed to be a 30 as well. We're obviously using a modified thing here. Are you still in the chat, Richard? I wonder if you know if this top bolt needs to be a 30 as well, rather than 40 or even less. Yes, you're in the chat, or yes, you know that it needs to be a different thing. So I don't think I should have tightened these up yet. Yeah, I was just going to ask if you could just check for me. Same as the bottom one, okay, 30. Excellent, thank you. Thanks for coming along the W. Have a good rest of your weekend. I'll put that back in there. Okay. I think I should have put these bolts in yet. So I can pull this belt tighter, I should say. Yeah, let's take that bolt right out. Take that out. Okay. So now we've got to make sure that we're getting these belts on the pulleys and everything else, because this is where things can go wrong. So let's just move this around, make sure we're where we need to be over here. On these pulleys, yep. On this pulley, yep. Okay. let's tighten these down a bit. Make sure everything's where it needs to be. We're a little bit racked now because we've pulled the belt and the things aren't quite straight. Now we can either try and adjust that here with these belts, or we can use the front tensioners to do it. So we'll try and get it as best we can at the front here, rather than relying on those. So we want to pull this belt, the bottom belt, just one more tooth if we can. Like that. I think that came out. Yeah, as I'm pulling it, it's pulling the other one. So let's tighten that down a bit. Other belts equal length? If so, other belts equal length? If so, it could be how I would loosen the screws, bring it to the front, tighten, as in where the X, Y, as in where the X connects to the Y. That has now fixed it. So it was just because they weren't, like you're saying, Richard, they weren't equal length by like one tooth. So the belts might not still be tensioned enough, but they're now not pulling either side of the gantry. Yeah. So now we can put in these things, and this nut did come out, so we've got to put this nut back in. Okay, and we'll get our 30 in the top rather than the 40. Make sure we're in the nut, which we are. Tighten them up a touch. Push it back again. And again, we're still completely square, front and back. We can go sideways as well. There's a stop there which I haven't taken out, and there. So I better do that before I forget. There we go. So I think 3 hours, I think we'll stop there. We've now got the belts on, which is a good place to stop, I feel. We will just do this part of the manual where we check that we've got everything where we should have. So basically this says make sure that the belt is not rubbing or riding on any plastic, and that's normally going to happen at the back here. So we can see that everything here is on either a bearing stack or on the motor pulley on both sides. Nothing is riding over anything. That all looks good to me. So yeah. So we've checked that. Now we're not putting that probe on, so we won't be doing that. Not doing a magnet, and that is basically the end of that section. So I think that is a good place to stop. I'm not going to trim the belt yet, just in case we want to do anything. We've still got to actually tension the belt. They're not where they need to be yet, but we'll do that next time. So yeah, I think we'll call it there. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll have a little tidy up while we're doing that. So these now I don't know if these are extra M38s or what, but they've got a little note on the bag. Put some things away while we're waiting for the chat to catch up. No questions. Perfect. Thank you, Richard. I am really liking the way it's looking. Yeah, it's taking shape. It just takes a little while, but I think it'll be worth it once we just got to check this pulley. Yeah, that looks okay. Once we get going, would you be tempted to get a custom back panel cut matching your theme? As in colour, or I'll tell you what I have seen, which I liked, is people have done a clear inverted electronics panel, and that looks pretty cool, so you can then see everything that's going on. I don't think I've tightened that one up, so that I could be tempted with, perhaps. Yeah, I hadn't tightened that up. Yeah, colour. Possibly. That might be something I might consider. That is the only problem, isn't it? If you're going to have a clear panel, you need to have really nice, tidy electronics. Hello there. You've come at the perfect time, because we're going to be wrapping up soon. But thanks for coming along anyway. So I think this is where we're going to stop today. So we've done the inverted electronics to the point where we are sort of ready to actually put electronics in. We've done the X-axis and we've run the belts. And everything sort of lines up, which is always good. What we might do is actually, so I am sort of doing stuff even though I said I was done. So I'm just going to back out this screw a bit, and then that just brings that pulley up a bit. So, yeah. I might have a look at Obviously I can, well, a panel this big I wouldn't be able to cut on my laser, but I know where to get plastic from, let's put it like that. So I might have a look at that, Richard. But yeah, if there's no other questions, I think we'll wrap it up. It's 4 o'clock, we've been streaming for about just over 3 hours. I think we've done pretty well. So yeah, thanks for coming along, everyone. Same time next week. If there's any prep I've got to do in between now and then, I will. I want to try and shoot a video for the channel this week, which will be part of something we do in a stream. So yeah, so that's it, I think. So thanks for coming along, everyone. Let me put you over to this window and I'll see you next time.